Ladies and gentlemen, Democrats are losing a battle right now regarding the debt ceiling. The House of Representatives is controlled by Trump Republicans. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert are now on the House Oversight Committee. That's a huge, huge deal because they will begin impeachment immediately. But, I mean, impeachment proceedings have essentially already begun. Democrats, with the special counsel and a condemnation of Biden. I've talked about this. They want him to be replaced by Vice President Kamala Harris, and that's just something that I've talked about. They don't want to go through a whole year of impeachment and revelations regarding Hunter and possible graft and other schemes and Joe being a part of that. They don't want to go into 2024 as a wounded political party. So that's a whole other story. What's taking place right now with the classified data debacle is almost certainly by design. Democrats rally around anybody and anything that they want. The fact that they're turning on Biden is very bizarre. But here you have House Republicans gear up for debt ceiling fight, and they're winning the debt ceiling battle because the power of the purse lies within the House of Representatives. Really quickly, nothing gets done, by the way, until the White House and the Senate cave to Republican demands in the House of Representatives. It's the House of Representatives that's leading this, that has the leverage. It's not the White House or the Senate. So, really quickly, if you go, when is the debt ceiling timeline? So, the debt ceiling has to be addressed. Officially, the U.S. is expected to hit the borrowing limit this Thursday. After that, the Treasury Department will use extraordinary measures to keep paying bills, which is expected to continue until early June, when Congress will need to act. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen told McCarthy um, in a letter Friday. The national debt is about $31.4 trillion. The problem with Democrats running the show for the past couple of years is the following, okay? If you look at this, is a very interesting set of numbers here. We'll just look. So this is presidency, ucsantabarbara.edu, and it goes through. This is a website that shows the budget deficit and the budget for each president. Okay, now you look at the federal budget for Trump, and the deficit in 2019 was $983 billion. If you look at 2019, the deficit was $983 billion. Okay. You had trillion-dollar deficits with President Obama, because you can look up President Obama's first 3 years, trillion-dollar deficits. Okay, George W. Bush. And then because of the 08 collapse, $1 trillion in 2010, $1 trillion, one point, almost 1.3 trillion in 2010, 1.3 trillion in 2011, over $1 trillion in 2012. Okay, Democrats didn't care. They still haven't removed Trump's tax cuts, which they complained about so much that they didn't remove them. But you had Trump with a budget deficit of 779 billion, 983 billion. Okay, but we had record low poverty in 2019. This is something that Democrats or people on the left, socialists, communists, whatever you are on the left, we had record low poverty. And we had a budget deficit of less than $1 trillion. And they said, well, the tax cuts are hurting the debt. Okay, they went from tax cuts hurting the debt immediately, Democrats, and God bless you. Like I say, hit subscribe to this channel. God bless you. If you're a left, right, center, I love you, and I wish you the best for 2023. Have a wonderful and amazing new year. And may all your dreams come true, prosperous, happy. I don't care about political party, but from my vantage point, respectfully to everybody, Democrats have run this country into the ground in terms of the economy, in terms of foreign policy. We'll get to that in a second. In the last year of Trump's presidency, it was a choice. So hit subscribe every day, 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. Pacific time on H.A. Goodman. Expect videos and 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. on H.A. Goodman's other channel. I didn't do, I'll take care of that H.A. Goodman's other channel today, but be there tomorrow at 9 and 12. As always, 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. videos forever on H.A. Goodman of almost 204,000 subscribers. Become a Patreon. Please do so. Your support is so greatly appreciated. The super thanks is below. And also, if you want to go to hagoodman.com to read my writing on The Hill, the Huffington Post Salon, the Jerusalem Post, the Federalist, and other publications, you can become part of the newsletter there. We had a $3 trillion plus deficit. That was the fault, not of you know what. You can't just blame that. That was a decision. I don't care if other countries did it. I don't care if organizations and the smartest people in the room decided we had to. I don't care if there's no rebuttal to that decision that Democrats engaged in. It was Democrats, never Trumpers, fine, or people. There were Republicans that fell in line, but Trump Republicans said no. Trump wanted to open up the economy. It was bureaucrats who shall remain nameless, but you know exactly who they are. Bureaucrats, government officials, um, media, the Washington Post, New York Times. Every time Trump wanted to open up the economy, oh, no, experts say too soon, too soon. That was a choice. That was a failed decision. That was a miserably failed policy of shutting down the economy. It was fueled by the Democratic Party and media. That is a fact. Anyone who says otherwise is engaging in revisionist history. Trump Republicans wanted to go to gyms and go to restaurants and live life. They were willing to, and it was the wonderful, morally superior, highly educated, liberal Democrats almost always who said, oh my God, the economy needs to cease to exist. Because you know what? So you went from a record low poverty, record highs in household median income. Yeah, the deficit was too high, but we had record low poverty, and every demographic group was making more money. The economy was growing, and there was no $10 trillion in fiscal and monetary stimulus. And we're spending $50 billion to subsidize a proxy battle in Europe. And that's another issue. With Trump, there would have been a negotiated peace deal or settlement before the hostilities took place, or at least an emphasis on trying. Even Emmanuel Macron and others in Europe tried to prevent the hostilities. And we see it's never ending. And that's why I said it was a moral imperative to vote for Trump, because you get never ending military conflict and wars with Democrats. And it happened. And their invasion took place in Europe. It didn't happen under Trump's presidency. It happened under Biden's. And yet the Democrats fancied themselves the Cold Warriors. But here you have another 3.6 trillion in 2021. That's due to the response, the maniacal, miserably failed response to a serious issue, fueled and the charge was led by Democrats, media, the highly educated, all the people we had to listen to. The Democratic Party owns the $6 trillion in deficit totaling, and then even the deficits now. So now you have 2022, 1.8 trillion. So tell me how this is better. This isn't a legacy of Trump. And so that's why you have Trump Republicans fighting the debt ceiling battle. They don't want 50 billion to a never-ending military conflict, which is a tragedy. I hope it ends and there's some peace. But you've never heard the word peace deal from Biden or Democrats. They don't want it to end ever. They put the little icon next to the Twitter profile. They'd rather keep it going forever. And so you have issues, for example, the southern geographic region of our country, with just, for the algorithm, but usually it's the border has to be addressed in terms of funding, and Democrats don't want to do that. And there are atrocities taking place, worse atrocities taking place now than any time with Trump. And I was against, one or two things regarding those policies with Trump. And so, but the scenario is worse now. And so you have a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where the spending, it's not about this. The spending comes from choices and decisions. Shutting down the economy was a choice that Democrats made. They Democratic governors shut down economic activity. There was nothing Trump could do about it. Media, bureaucrats. You had one bureaucrat in particular that Elon Musk isn't fond of, that kept saying oftentimes, I don't understand why the whole country isn't shut down. So that leads to the $3 trillion in deficit, the ruined lives, and, the unforeseen, well, the obvious consequences, okay, which are a number of consequences that proved without a shadow of a doubt that decision to end the U.S. economy for a couple years was the work of maniacs. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. This is a really, really, really good snapshot of everything. You can see when Democrats took over and they really commandeered, they say that Trump commandeered a limousine. They commandeered Trump's last year in office because of you know what. From that point, we've never really rebounded. And I think that the repercussions will be not only another recession, but a stock market crash much worse than what we've seen, which is what I predicted in 21. I told everyone the economy would tank in 22, and it did. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Republicans have the upper hand because they can point to the $3 trillion deficits, the close to $2 trillion deficits, and they can say, look, you're spending, but the economy is tanking and foreign policy is a catastrophe. So we're not going to budge. And it's the White House and the presidency that has to budge. Give me your thoughts below, and Democrats in the Senate. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. I'll be here in a couple of hours. Thanks, everybody.